Okay, I think we're live. Got the chat happening. Everyone's got in early. I'm slightly, no, I'm not. I'm not even late. I thought I might have been slightly late. So hello, Brett, and Megalich, and Luke, and Gustayoy, and Patman Sport, and Nathaniel. Hello, hello, hello. Just back from the physio. Been inflicting pain on my knee. But that's okay because I survived it, and here I am. Hello there, big boy. Yes, Luke. So I did not come up with a clever name for tonight. I thought about it, and I couldn't come up with something. Yes, no, I didn't have a clear theme in mind for tonight. So something about, did the government lose a vote in the parliament? Because that'd be funny if they did. May highlight what a friggin' train wreck the government is. I know they were staring down the barrel of a vote going ahead. Here's the update. Scummo the loser. All right, just finding a link. He did actually lose a vote, which is something that doesn't happen very often. Let's see what the story says. They did lose it. Let's see. Websites take a long time to come up with. Future of the coalition's hold on power is at risk, with the federal government becoming the first to lose a vote on its own legislation in almost 80 years. Scummo, the historic loser, the loser for the history books. Yes. The majority of the crossbench and Labor joined forces to pass amendments. Ooh dear. So yeah, it's just symbolic, but it's not a good symbol. It doesn't mean anything in and of itself. Like some people had started talking about like the government losing a vote on its own legislation is tantamount to a vote of no confidence in the government. It's a very strong sign that they don't have the ability to govern, and so it could be seen as a trigger for an election. But then, I don't know, some people got like a rush of blood to their head and they leapt from it's sort of symbolically a vote of no confidence to, it is a vote of no confidence. No, it isn't. A vote of no confidence is a really specific thing. The government being big old losers is just symbolic and, well, humorous. Something on my thumb. Don't break a nail. What is that? It's just something goopy on my thumb. Sorry, I got distracted. There's something weird with my thumb. I will investigate that a bit more later. Hello, Charlie. How's it going? So, God, now that's really going to bug me. Is that... Gustav, you are not required to agree with me. The one rule here is don't be a boring git. If someone's being boring and wasting my time, out they go. But I do not and never have required people to agree with me on everything. I just sort of say to people, don't be assholes and waste my time. Patman, I did talk to AZ the other day, and as I suspected, he has been having medical adventures and misadventures. I've broken a nail on my thumb. That's going to fucking hurt. It's going to get caught on something. Yes, so I talked to AZ. He's soldiering on. He's had all sorts of medical misadventures, with his body organs not behaving in the way that you expect body organs to behave. So he's he's soldiering on, but not great. Gusta, you can go right ahead with the bouncing of ideas. We tend to have very free-ranging discussions in this live stream, from politics to entertainment to food and drink and and anything and everything. We go all over the shop. God, I can't stop worrying at this cracked thumbnail now. Bloody hell, that's gonna shit me. I wonder how I did that. Anyway, I love your reference to how long ago the last time the government lost a vote. RC. Not since 1929. Back then, the Prime Minister wore spats and died of polio and tuberculosis. Oh, big boy. Adrian, my longtime collaborator. We've made lots and lots and lots, lots and lots and lots and lots of videos over the last 10 years or so. Brett, we can talk about public transport. I had my 3 pet hates all rolled into one train trip to work the other day. Dickhead taken a bike on peak hour trains, which I think is actually is against rules, or they're supposed to have another seat, but it's just fucking obnoxious taking a bike on a peak hour train. Then there's dickhead with a big backpack who didn't take it off, who's walking around with a backpack. So I'm seeing, and they're swinging around. So I got smacked in the head with this fuckwit's backpack. People who don't take their fucking backpacks off on crowded trains and take up the room of 2 people and swing around and hit people with it. Fucking obnoxious. And then the third one on the same trip, fuckwit playing stuff on their phone. I don't know if like music or a movie or something, but playing it through the speaker on the phone, not through fucking headphones. What sort of fucking feral does that? Raised by wolves, motherfucker. So that's my take on public transport, Brett. I use it every day, but sometimes the people on it are assholes. And oh my God, when we had the hot days, getting on a tram that wasn't air conditioned, Jesus. Apparently, like half our tram fleet isn't air conditioned. It really fucking sucks. Yes, chronic public transport is a freak show. I'm one of the freaks, without doubt. But yeah, that sounds like a heavy metal band name. Wolves with smartphones. I love that as a phrase. Definitely, I think is a band name. Wolves with smartphones. I could get behind that. You going out on the weekend? You're going to go see Wolves with smartphones. Cool. They're really good. So you think we should have Zeppelins instead of fast trains? Did I say something about hurting them, Gustav? I'm just saying they're shit. You know, not saying I'd be sad if they fell over, but yeah. When I go to work via Zeppelin, that would be a very stately way to travel, wouldn't it? Just a now I'm just thinking of that Archer episode when they were on a Zeppelin and he was fixated with the gas making it float being flammable when it wasn't, and just behaving in a really paranoid fashion, thinking the Zeppelin's going to blow up all the time, even though the gas that makes it float isn't actually flammable. Brett, ages since I've been on a V-Line. I noticed the V-Line trains going past saying they have quiet carriages. It's like the rules in quiet carriages, well, you're not meant to talk. You're not meant to have loud conversations. You're definitely not meant to have phone conversations. And you're definitely not meant to play shit through the speaker on your phone. But yes, it's so long since I've taken a V-Line train. I don't know how much people stick to the etiquette on V-Line. It's like in the UK, people do super long commutes on trains into London and whatnot, and they have quiet carriages too. But a lot of people like commute for an hour or 2 each way to London. Retail services. Hey there. Yeah, and I remember when I was in Sydney, there were a lot of people who commuted from either the South Coast or the North Coast. Sydney, like they lived in Newcastle or Wollongong, and they'd commute all the way to Sydney, which always did my head in because it's like a couple of hours each way. Even in Melbourne, people commute from Geelong, like a huge number of people commute to Melbourne for work from Geelong. They talk about the lifestyle, but Jesus, spending a couple of hours each way commuting, I don't know. I don't think I could do it. I mean, just with the farting around with public transport, it's probably and I don't live that far out of the city, but it probably takes me an hour door to door to get from my home to work. But you know, that's getting to the station and from the station to work, and you know, read a book or do something. Brett, Geelong's an hour if nothing goes wrong, Brett. You are right. A straight run from Geelong to Melbourne will take about an hour, and you're right. And all stations from Frankston would take you that long. Sorry, that explanation for that username is absolutely brilliant. MG Tow Services. You run a towing company that specializes in towing old school vehicles like MG motor cars. That's awesome. Gustav, do I have biases? Everybody has biases. It's a question of how conscious you are of them. And if you're not conscious of your biases, they're probably really bad. And I have my biases for a reason. I regard certain things as important. I have very strong views on how the world should be. And if I think someone is in opposition to what I regard as a fair world, I have very strong biases against them. Yes, you know, in traditional political terms, I'm like radical loony left, but a bit more on the anarchist side of things. Like I've never been a socialist or a communist, but my politics, particularly with how people tend to define things, I'm like loony left, definitely. But God damn, was that pretty? Train from Ballarat to Melbourne's normally 90 minutes. One took 7 hours. Like no point. At a certain point, if you're meant to be on a 90-minute train trip and it takes 7 hours, surely you get to the other end, it's just time to turn around and go home. It's kind of like when there's a really bad traffic jam. And this isn't just abstract, I've done this, but we see people who will sit in traffic jams for hours, like not moving for hours, and they'll just sit in their car and wait and inch forward for hours. If I get stuck in shit like that, it's just like, yep, no fucking way. Time to find somewhere to just hang out for an hour or two till this shit goes away. In fact, even public transport, there was one where a whole shit ton of things went wrong with public transport all at once, and the tram stopped running. And this was in peak hour, and it was like on a Thursday or Friday. I was just about to go home, and I think I just missed the last working tram. And then it was like, no trams, and because it's peak hour, even if the people saying it's going to take at least half an hour from the fix, and in that time thousands of people were going to bank up and check. This is going to be a nightmare. Fuck it, I'm finding a bar, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to get some dinner. Rather than go home, I'll just call home and say transport's fucked, I'm not going to be home for a couple of hours, and I just found somewhere to like have some dinner. There's no way I was going to be in a crush of people for a couple of hours. So it's like on hashtag anarchists are the only real communists. Oh yeah, fuck the tankies. I had to have that explained to me what a tanky was. It cracked me up. Hey Tendai, how's it going? Gusta, I don't even know what Sawcon is. Um, uh, Yeah, if you've never heard the term tankies, because this was someone who's, I guess, in the ballpark of my politics on Facebook, deriding some people as tankies. He's a leftist and all that sort. What tankies are? Those are like old school Stalinists, basically. They're so wedded to the idea of the communist state that they excused all the excesses of the communist dictatorship, the invasion of other countries, and the, you know, murder of populations and whatnot. They supported the tanks rolling into all Eastern European countries for spread of glorious fatherland. So yeah, leftists who don't like bootlickers call them tankies because they support rolling the tanks in to all through Eastern Europe. So I learned something. That's what a tankie is. A tankie is uh, an insult for people who make excuses for the abuses of Soviet USSR. Jerky. Oh, no, but they know about Stalin. They just excuse it. They say all the excesses of Stalin, the violent takeover of all the countries in Eastern Europe, they just say it was justified for the glory of the communist state. Rolling tanks in is completely fine, hence tankies. So, Justin, I like that idea. I know. Oh, okay. Because there's Sork on D's nuts. Okay. So you got me, because there's so many cons. There could be any sort of con. Uh, yeah, so you're going to Sork on D's nuts. Yeah, well, you know, I'm a fan of stupid jokes. I like that. I don't know if anyone here's in shared houses. When you do shared housing, you tend to have really dumb in jokes in the house that you just do in the house all the time, and everyone in the house you think they're hilarious because they're not. Like, you know, it's not funny. It's this ridiculous in joke that you do, and you never explain it to anyone else because it's just house in joke. You never explain why you find this stupid joke so funny. Like, one share house I was in, the running joke was to have a conversation, to go over a conversation. It was like, I'd like to introduce to my friend Dick. Hello, Dick. How are you? I'm well, thanks. What do you do for a job, Dick? I work for a law firm. Do you? Is it a big firm, Dick? And we found that hilarious, to just do the big firm Dick joke. And it's clearly a very stupid joke, but we just found it really humorous. And that's the thing. I think it's like that when you're at uni as well. You end up with you end up hanging with people, and you have in jokes, and yeah, they're like hilarious to you just because they're your jokes, and you know they're not actually funny. You know they're not actually funny. But yeah, you just do them. I'm a fan of dumb jokes. They're very funny. Yes, Comrade Lazo, puns, dad jokes. And me personally, I love a good laboured acronym. Trying to come up with a phrase that you can turn into an acronym that is essentially some sort of pun, or ideally innuendo, sexual reference. The ridiculous things. Like, sometimes when I try to do a thing, let's see, I set myself a challenge: make a video every day for a month, and I worked out if I did the first time I was going to do. I think I was doing it in June or July, and I was trying to think of an acronym for it. I had to do a video every day in July, which is VEG. And then silly thing occurred to me I went with, I'm going to do a video every day in July if nothing arises. So I was giving myself an escape. You know, life happens sometimes and you can't do it. I'm not going to kill myself to make a video if something's got in the way. So it was a video every day in July if nothing arises, and the acronym was vagina. I was doing vagina videos. So that is how cerebral my sense of humor is. It's like, ooh, I got to make a smutty innuendo with my acronym, and I just went for it. Yes. Luke, the joke about the sun, has it not come out yet? Is it not just... Sargon, you've made it something you're calling nectar of the gods. Well, I'm intrigued. You know, I like mixing drinks. Luke, haven't watched my latest video. Yes, I just made that an impulse. You know, speaking of contentious things, the ones I didn't make a video on last week, I didn't strike while the iron's hot. I probably should have. I was going to do one about the whole thing with Liam Neeson's story about wanting to murder a random black guy because a friend of his was raped by a black guy, and talk about the rather extreme levels of racism involved in that. And I thought, yes, everyone's talking about it. Does the world need my hot take on it? I almost did. Because when I thought about it, what bothered me far more than Liam Neeson saying that was the people going, oh, it's not racist. Yeah, it is. Oh, okay. Comrade Leslie, you didn't hear it. No, it was Liam Neeson's done his 50th movie with a revenge theme. And hello, Mr. Gonzo. Going well, buddy. How are you? So he's doing, Liam Neeson, for those who don't know, Liam Neeson's doing a press junket for his latest movie where, surprise, surprise, he goes on a revenge thing. And he says, revenge is bad. And he relates this story from his youth when he was in Ireland. A friend of his had told him she'd been raped while she was on holidays. And he said she was handling it really well. And he didn't handle it well. He got enraged and he asked her about it. Did you know the person who did it? No. And then he said he asked if it was a white guy or a black guy, which is a weird question to ask, unless it was, say, holiday was in the Caribbean, which would be common for people from the UK. But anyway, still very racially charged question asked. And she said it was a black guy. And he said he was just enraged, and this is when he's still living in Ireland, and he said to try and get it out of his system, he went around a black part of town with a kosh, like a club, hoping a black dude would start something up with him so he could kill him, because he had this white hot rage sense of revenge. And everyone there, like the interviewer and the other person from the movie, went, holy fuck. And he went to great lengths to say it was an awful thing. It was awful. Like it never happened. He never had the conflict with a black guy, didn't attack anyone. But that was his motivation. It's like, because his friend was raped by a black guy, he wanted to murder any black guy. And it's like, and you get these people saying that that's not racist, that is just the revenge motivation. Like, the idea that that isn't powered wholly and completely racist. The idea that black people are just interchangeable. Now, what would ideally come out of that is what was related in the interview. It was a Prince story. They said, Liam Neeson, said this was awful. He's acknowledging his urge to do this was awful and terrible, and you know, he's saying it's wrong on every level. What would be something that I would want to know is why he thought it was awful, because the way it was done in the interview, he's like, he's just saying revenge in and of itself is bad, and he's saying it's the revenge motive that's bad and negative, which it is. But there's nothing in the interview, and this doesn't mean there's nothing in. There's nothing in the interview that where he says, where he recognizes this idea that I could kill any black man as revenge for the acts of one black man is deeply informed by racism. That's a racist reflex to just go, black people are interchangeable. If one does something wrong, I'm justified in murdering another. But the person doing the interview didn't draw that out. He just went, he made it very clear. He wasn't justifying this feeling. He wasn't justifying the action of going out looking for trouble. He said it was terrible. It was wrong. It was awful. But they didn't explicitly look at, are you acknowledging that was a horrifically fucking racist thing to do? I think it's perfectly likely that he does recognize that. And that's why he said he feels ashamed of it. But that didn't come across in that interview. That's the one thing I'd like to know. I tell you what, the people fucking defending it and saying it's not racist, they're sick as fuck. Like, there is literally no other way to read that than that was a really deeply racist response. And like I said, he said he's ashamed of it, but the interview didn't really give you all the information. And wanting it, like, I don't know, this was like 30, 40 years ago. And it is also worth bearing in mind, he grew up in Ireland during the Troubles. Revenge was the way everyone operated. Revenge killings happened all over the place. He was surrounded by revenge killings his whole life. Yeah, the idea of suggesting he's interchangeably going to murder literally any black guy who crosses his path because of what one black guy did is like super fucked up. Quite, you reckon his career's over? Nah, it's going to blow over. It's going to be a storm in a teacup. It's just going to blow over. Like I said, particularly, really all he has to do, and I mean, I'd accept it if he just went, yeah, if he looks at it and goes, look, the time and the place, there is no question that was framed by racism, and that's what I'm ashamed of. I'm ashamed of the racist motivation that made me think that was acceptable behavior. This wasn't just revenge, because there is no fucking way. There is no fucking way, if his friend told him she had been raped by a white guy, he was going to go out to a pub, pick a fight, and kill the first white guy who got in his face as revenge for the rape. That was not going to happen. Anyone who wants to suggest that is talking utter horse shit. But like I said, for me, if he had said, if he gets the opportunity to say, look, yeah, that was the motivation behind that was really, really racist, and that's what I'm ashamed of. And I'm so glad that nothing happened. And it's like, yeah. Now, mind you, I would not blame any black person at all for saying, I can never watch a Liam Neeson film again, because all I'm going to see is the dude who would kill me just because he was pissed off at another black person. He thinks we're interchangeable. He not now. I don't believe he'd do this now, but there was a time in his life where he thought it was completely legitimate to murder a random black person because of a thing a black person did. Particularly because all these fucking movies are about revenge and violence. I wouldn't be at all surprised. I would not hold it against any black person who said, I can't watch a Liam Neeson film now. All I'm going to see is the dude who thinks it's legitimate to kill me. And as one, I forgot his name, I think he's a footballer in England, but there was a black guy interviewed in England. He said, what was his phrase? That Liam Neeson should get a medal for being that honest and highlighting this. It's basically like casual racism, ingrained racism. Like, people think it's not racist if you're not wearing a Klan hood and using racial slurs, which is really fucking bizarre. But yeah, the yeah, it's a complex issue. Oh, Mr. Gonzo, you've actually seen it, and Cobb shoots terrible. Okay. Well, when was the last time one of his films wasn't kind of shitty, really? Batman Sport, you got some betting odds on the election. ALP $1.75 to win in New South Wales, and $1.20 for the federal government. Jesus, that bet would almost be worth it. $1.20, like that's not a big margin on a dollar, but the fact that they're almost certain to win. Do you know, Patman, do you know the odds on the Libs retaining New South Wales and the federal government? Federal government's got to be a super long shot. But I actually don't know what the thinking is in New South Wales. Although I will say that both federally and in New South Wales, Labor are being piss weak. Labor are being really, really wussy. It's like they've looking and gone, okay, our best chance of winning. In New South Wales, I think New South Wales, I think there's a bit of a fight on it. But you know, federally, it's almost a done deal. But they're both going, oh, wait, we go, oh, if we don't upset anybody, then we stand a bigger chance. So they're not making any statements. Okay, Batman Sport. Federally, $4.25 for the Liberals, $2 for New South Wales. So they're saying Labor is the favourite in New South Wales. I wasn't sure. Yes, we're saying Walt Disney was a Nazi sympathiser. That is true. Oh, that's right, Mr. Gunzo. The Grey. I remember that one. That might be the last good film Liam Neeson did, The Grey, where he fights wolves. Yes, Justin, we were talking about the government losing that vote right at the start. That's pretty hilarious. That's momentous, like the first time in 80 years that's happened. So, yeah, Scummo goes down in history as a loser, and he's going to lose the federal election spectacularly. Gustav, I will admit to having a weak spot and being a bit forgiving to awful people if they make good art. Not completely. This is the thing, like, okay, the conversation with some friends. Okay, here's my point. I say, you're saying you'd rather judge Liam Neeson on the quality of his movies. You're saying because you don't really care about what he did. Because quite honestly, I had friends say that, like, talking about, one guy was, because he was espousing some real serious bullshit, lost a lot of friends by doing that. And this other friend of mine, he goes, oh no, you stick by your friends no matter what. And I said, really? Really, you stick by your friends no matter what? So if a friend of yours turned out to be a serial child rapist and murderer, you'd stick by them even though they rape and murder little kids because they're your friend. And you went, oh, don't be ridiculous. I wouldn't do that. So no. You said stick by your friends no matter what. And he said, oh, okay, not no matter what. I said, so when you say, for instance, I'm not going to judge Liam Neeson by his racist acts, I'm going to judge on whether I like the movies. You're saying Liam Neeson's racist acts don't concern you enough to affect whether or not you watch his movie. Are you saying, again, because are you saying if a filmmaker or an actor or whatever was outed as a serial child rapist and murderer, you'd still say they should have a career? You'd still say the child rapist and murderer should still keep making movies? Is that the position you're taking? You're going to defend a child rapist and a murderer? Because that's a really interesting position to take. That's the position you're going to take. Because everyone has something that they find not acceptable. They go, that person did that. I can't support them. They don't deserve to have a career. I'm going to take away from it. So when you say, oh, that person's racism, or that person's spousal abuse, or that person's whatever heinous act isn't enough to make me stop liking their music, their books, their films. You're saying you don't care. You're saying you don't care that they did that. You're still looking at the film. Because there's something. There is always something. If they did it, you'd go, well, that's it. No way. No way. They don't deserve a career. I'm not buying their books. I'm not reading the movies. So, Gustav, you're saying you're going to defend a child rapist and murderer. You're going to say if somebody has been outed as being a child rapist and murderer, that they still deserve to have their career. Charlie, you raise a good point. Roman Polanski drugged and raped a child and he still gets defended, which is super fucking disturbing. And there's Woody Allen. Yes. Yeah, you are, dude. You're defending it. If you're saying that someone who's a child rapist and murderer should still have their career, you're fucking defending them. You're on their side. You're supporting the child rapist and murderer. Isn't it weird, just like Kevin Spacey, when it turned out he has a long history of forcing himself on underage boys, and his career goes into a nosedive, and everybody says, yeah, he's always been awful to work with. Like, what the fuck? Well then, Gustav, then what you're saying is that you don't fucking care about Liam Neeson's racism. Listen, you can hedge around it all you like. There is something that's a limit for you. Liam Neeson's racism isn't it. You don't care about Liam Neeson's racism, okay? So don't talk utter shit and say, oh, you should always judge them by the quality of their movies or the music or their books, not by what they do. Fuck off. That's a lie. There's always something that makes it unacceptable, and you don't give a shit. So you're saying the child rapist murderer should still be allowed to make movies? It's the thing. It's a simple thing. There is something that's too much for you. And so when is that absolutely here? Either you think child rapist murderers should have their career, or you're saying, no, that's too far, but I actually don't care about Liam Neeson's racism. Racism isn't a big issue for me. So, and I did hear some weird shit about Woody Allen suing because people won't work with him because he's horrible. And that's really weird. Oh yeah, Mr. Gonzo, that's the other one. I did read about that one. The Jeepers Creepers director is literally a child rapist, and yet apparently he's still able to have a job. This is the thing. People, and they not only get forgiven for stuff, like horrible, awful shit used to be the norm. Like you hear people defending historical stuff. Like someone mentioned Rolf Harris. Rolf Harris was this, like serial groper, sexual abuser, convicted of multiple crimes, and he's been convicted of that many. You can imagine how many actually did. So the it's just ugh. But there's some people defended him, uh, uh, but and a big defense was that's just how things were then. That's just how things were then. And oh yeah, Justin, Margaret Court's rampant homophobic. It's not just that Margaret Court is homophobic, which is bad. She's the really stupid sort of homophobe as well. Like she says super dumb shit, like absolutely bizarre, ridiculous, stupid shit because her homophobia overtakes her common sense. But yeah, I don't think Margaret Court should be revered. I think the fucking tennis court that's got her name should have its name changed. She's an awful person who doesn't deserve to be revered. So, yeah, she's that weird sort that her bigotry makes her stupid. Alexander's saying they found Rolf Harris on the grounds of a primary school. I thought he was in jail. Isn't he in prison? I haven't. I will freely admit I haven't spent a lot of time keeping track of Rolf Harris, but I thought he was in prison. But yeah. Gustayoi, friend to child murderers. I don't care how many children you rape and murder. If you make a movie I like, I'll forgive you. Okay, cool. Shelf warmer. You're saying, like, okay, Roseanne's cast and crew got fucked over, but the show came back without her. Oh, Sarah, Harvey Weinstein is a terrible one. The number of people who defended Harvey Weinstein for years is absolutely appalling. You are spot on that a lot of people defended him, and man, he was just being scum for like decades. Oh dear. MGTOW, you think Rolf's a worse children? I don't know. I grew up with Rolf Harris. I liked Rolf Harris. And I mean, it's easy to say in retrospect that Rolf Harris is terrible and whatnot, but he was super popular. And like I said, I grew up watching him. I really liked watching Rolf Harris growing up. So, you know, I mean, seriously, like the one. Yes, you're right, Comrade Laszlo. At least Mr. Rogers did not turn out to be a horrible person. But the one, one of the worst in the entertainment industry. The British guy was very big in the entertainment industry for decades. Jimmy Savile, fucking wild. And I tell you what, the one thing that really told you how Jimmy Savile got away with it, because it was an open secret that Jimmy Savile was a pervert and sexual abuser. There's the guy who wrote Train Spotting, Irvine Welsh. He's written a bunch of books. I've read a couple of them. There's one that was a collection of short stories. And one of the short stories was Beloved Entertainer, who was obviously Jimmy Savile. And in this story, this beloved entertainer who gives lots of money to charities, to hospitals. He's giving money to hospitals so they let him fuck dead bodies. Okay, and that's in this. Irvine Welsh is renowned for, you know, writing obnoxious stories, and this one, this beloved entertainer, is paying the hospital money to let him fuck dead bodies. Turns out that was true. And that was like an open secret that Jimmy Savile was a necrophiliac. And that was why he spent so much time in hospitals. He was fucking the dead bodies in the morgue. It's like, holy fucking shit. And people didn't go at it. And to me, what sums up why was he allowed to get away with decades of abuse? Like, after he died, there was an expose that was going to be aired, and then, like, they'd uncovered just how bad just how bad Jimmy Savile was, and some senior heads at the BBC tried to stop this expose from going to air because they said, oh, we had this whole special ready to go to celebrate the life of Jimmy Savile, and you'll ruin it with this. They were trying to protect him even after he was dead. These fuckwits in the BBC were more worried about the reputation than the fact he was a monster. And that's how he got away with it so long. When you're in the inner circles, you get away with this shit. Absolutely horrific. Because what do you think about Jordan Peterson? To quote Shakespeare, tale told by a madman, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Look, Jordan Peterson has been deconstructed and torn apart many times by people far smarter than me. Star of the show's arrived. Hello, Mimsy. Yeah, his uses far too many words to say far too little. And he writes, his writing is so bad and so imprecise that he can claim to be saying anything and deny any accusation put against it. Because he is an experienced psychologist, and in the realm of psychology where his expertise is, he seems to be quite knowledgeable. It's just that he then goes on to talk about social issues where his hideous prejudices come to the fore. And his writing's fucking terrible. His writing is absolutely fucking awful. Hello, Lindsay. You going to say hello to the crowd? Yes. Yes. Dr. Obama. Do I know? Yes. I know the Friendly Geordie's channel. I have not watched a lot of his videos. You wouldn't be surprised to know that a lot of my politics crosses over with his. I also disagree with some stuff I've seen in his videos. But, you know, grown-ups are allowed to disagree on things. Comrade Leslie, you're saying Jordan Peterson doesn't understand the difference between gender expression and sexual orientation. Oh, he understands it. He just deliberately misrepresents it to promote his political agenda. Because he's taught tremendously important things to people. What, clean your fucking room? Be a fucking grown-up? Because I tell you, he's a stupid person's idea of a smart person. It's as simple as that. They're calling you Garfield, Mimsy. Do you like lasagna? I don't think you've ever had lasagna, have you? No. Charlie Hugo and Jake made a video where they read 12 rules for life. Bet they got better speaking voices than him. Not that that's a reason to criticize someone because they have a funny speaking voice, but he does sound like Grover. Yes, he does, Lucy. Yes. Oh my God! Now she's suddenly. It's like I have zero interest in Jordan Peterson. Basically, like I said, people way smarter than me have completely deconstructed and exposed his unmitigated bullshit far more eloquently than I could. And it's all out there for you. She's headbutting me because she wants more scratches. Yeah, so he's a shameless opportunist. He's morally and intellectually dishonest. And he's quite obnoxious, honestly. Justin, do I follow Matt Dillahunty or any of the AE crew? Oh, nice. I actually don't know Matt Dillahunty, the AE crew. Kicked Peterson's tail during the Penguin conversation. Good for him. Good for him. That actually, Comrade does say maybe he is more Kermit the Frog than Grover. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a bit more accurate. Because that's fine. Fine if you like him. But you asked me what I thought. I think he's full of shit. His worst sins are being intellectually dishonest. But you know, he couches his really quite boring reactionary politics in faux intellectual language. Actual intellectuals look at me, what the fuck are you saying? What the actual fuck are you saying there? And he goes, oh, what are you doing? I'm not saying anything. And hello, Miss Foxification, how are you? Ah, that's my sort of conversation, Justin. Best watched with a few shots of hard liquor. Then Luke's caught up. Gotcha. Look, I've got a couple of. I was thinking I do want to make a cocktail. Now, every now and then I buy, and she's just here. Lindsay's just here. She might come back up at some point. You can see this. There he is. Hello. Every now and then I buy something slightly unusual because I see it in cocktail recipes. On the weekend, I did buy something called Fernet Branca, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong, I think, but it's not French. I think it's Italian. So I think it's Fernet Branca, not Fernet Branca. MG Toe, what's a high roll? And Safa, we've been all over Scummo's loss, just laughing about it. And not the Toronto Maple Leafer is not here because I did find a drink in my Bible with Fernet Branca in it, and it's called a Toronto cocktail. So I might make that. Where is that? Because it's a fairly simple one. So I could make this one. It's an aperitif. Dr. Obama, how old's Mimsy? He's old. Somewhere like 13 to 15 years old. Because we didn't have a... she's a rescue cat. She was more than a year old when we got her. And we got her like 13 years ago. The appetizer all'Italienne, because Fernet Branca is Italian. That's vermouth Fernet Branca with a dash of absinthe. I like the sound of that. I could make that. Or, what was the Toronto? My index here, 75. Don't give up the ship. No, I don't have all those ingredients. Where was it? 94 maybe? Rye whiskey, Cointreau. Where is it? I found it before. 99. Okay, I found it finally. The Toronto cocktail is rye whiskey, Fernet Branca, simple syrup, and bitters, which I have. Toronto Maple Leaf. So I know I like the sound of doing the one with a dash of absinthe in it, honestly. Appetizer à la Italienne. Safa, is it cheaper to buy pre-made cocktails? No, that's much. Well, okay. Here's the thing. If you're going to have a collection like me, that's a significant investment, which I've done over time, like over years. So like a pre-made cocktail is cheaper than buying the 2 or 3 bottles of stuff you need to make a cocktail. But the volume, it's cheaper by volume. That makes sense. So, yes. Hi, Rolly, you get high and listen to Limp Bizkit. Okay, so we're going. I see we're still talking about the high roller. People wanting the thing. Did you say high roller, MG toe, tall glass, blue Elise, tequila, vodka, white rum topped with lemonade? Sounds pretty good. I don't have the Elise. I do have tequila, vodka, white rum, and lemonade. But I might make the. It's too late to have an aperitif. But of course, that thing I got, Fernet Branca, is it's a bitter liqueur. It's like what do you call it? Aperol or the other bitter Italian. The Italians seem to like bitter liqueurs. I tell you, but the other thing is, that was one thing I might do. The other thing I was thinking, because I've made a couple special flavored one. I made a chocolate vodka. So I was thinking of trying to come up with a chocolate vodka. Oh my God, Jordan Peterson's going to be on Q&A on the ABC. Okay. Vodka and what I'm trying to see if I can find a good recipe. Cointreau might go. Cointreau. See if we can find a recipe for a vodka. Oh, the kamikaze is vodka and Cointreau, is it? Vodka, Cointreau, and lime juice. I have all that. There's a Cosmopolitan vodka and Cointreau. That's the. Oh wait, that's a video. I don't want a video. That's the Sex and the City one. Yeah, apparently I went to look something up and I saw he's going to be on Q&A. Oh my God, this video is still playing. Go away. Where are you? Go away. Don't want that. Okay. Safa, Tony Jones is retiring this year. Well, not before time. In fact, considerably after time. I am not a Tony Jones skip. Skip, motherfucker. Okay. Oh, I don't watch Q&A because it makes me want to throw things at my own TV. So they tend to put people on that really shit me. Like the host, Tony Jones, when he gets on his high horse and pontificates, I really... Oh, what the fuck is this thing not loading? Okay, for some reason okay, here we go. Oh, Jesus, what the fuck? Sorry, no. Ah, Mr. Gonzo, gotta get some rest. Thanks for dropping by, man. Tendo, I think it is like question time, yes. I think it's very like it. Basically, a panel of 4 to 6 people of note, and there's a live audience. You can ask questions. Oh my God, Chef Warmer, that's a weird parallel. John Edwards, he's the talking to spirits guy, isn't he? Fucking charlatan. But anyway. All right, so I might make this aperitif So it's a bit late to be having an appetizer à la Italiane with a bold vermouth. I've got a bold vermouth. Vermouth, Fernet Branca, absinthe, and simple syrup. That's easy. All right. Yeah, let's all rag on Tony Jones. Tony Jones shits me. Justin. Oh, okay. So I'm aware of the existence of the BBC show. It's a BBC show, isn't it? Question time. I'm aware of the existence of it, but I don't think I've ever watched it. But yeah, Tony Jones shits me, and they put complete fuckheads on that show and treat them like they should have credibility. Noise the Virginia. So I got to get some components together. Ooh, I got to get my tiki glass. All right, that's just over here. That. I don't think this is even a shaken cocktail. I think it's a stirred one. So I might. Yeah, it's a stirred one. So I might even save myself the trouble of shaking. But look, I've got this monster ice cube thing. Huge ice cubes. Check the size. Not that, you know, not that it's all about size, people. Not that it's all about size, but these are huge ice cubes. Huge ice cubes. Right. So I'm going to put a huge ice cube in there. Huge ice cube. And I've got to get the components. So that's Branca. Where's my simple syrup? Branca vermouth. My absinthe, dash of absinthe. And I'm using agave syrup for simple syrup. So, all right. Justin, you want me to send your cocktail to Lake Macquarie? Okay. Okay, so my absinthe infused vermouth. So I'll have some. What is this? This is not even very high alcohol. What's the percent? It's only 18%. It's a nice colour. Looks a bit like a urine. Let's be fair. Looks like a urine sample. So some vermouth. Now, I don't even know. I'm going to have a little taste of the Fernet Branca. And not a very interesting bottle. Looks like wine, actually. But it's smells quite nice. Ooh, look, it's pretty serious dark color. Oh. That is bitter. That is a wow. Wow. I still got a bitter taste in my tongue. Okay. Okay. A little bit of agave syrup. I'm going to lighten that up a bit. Bit of agave syrup in there. It'll hopefully mix in. And my red absinthe. Just a dash, though. Just a dash of the red absinthe. That might have been more than a dash, but that's okay. You like the fact that I said it looked like a urine sample and just poured it in. So I'm using the giant, very untasteworthy thing. I'm using the giant ice cube to stir it. So it's got a nice reddish brown color. I'm not sure how well that's coming across in the thing. I think it maybe looks more brown on it, but it's got a nice reddish tinge and it smells good. Oh, that's pretty good, actually. Like I don't like. I had a little sip of this. I don't think I would. I don't think I'd drink this straight. Obviously, some people do. I don't think I'd drink this straight. It is really bitter. But because I put the sweetener in to take the edge off, And the vermouth and the absinthe, it's like, nice. Dr. Obama, urine is 18% alcohol. Whew. That's a pretty serious drink, mind you. If your urine's at 80% alcohol, 18% alcohol, that's pretty serious, yeah. What's that gender? Oh, the Tories gave a ferry company a contract. No ferries, they scrapped it. Oh no, really? Was there public outrage at them giving millions of pounds to a company that couldn't actually deliver on the contract? That's a shock right there. And that's like fucking Scummo gave $500 million to some consultancy, to save the barrier reef, when these people, they were just cronies of the Liberal Party. And they had no ability to do anything meaningful to save the barrier reef. I'm just kind of fixated on spinning around my giant ice cube in my tiki glass. Man, that is a serious drink. I like it. Getting a good cocktail is you have a couple of flavors in it. And this one's got like really rich, deep flavor. Lots of herbs, actually, because I think this is very herby. Fernet Branca, I think this technically qualifies as an Amaro. Since the year 1845, the secret formula of Fernet Branca has been based on an infusion from a unique blend of selected blossoms and rare aromatic herbs, carefully aged in the historic Branca cellars. Wait. Oh, no, yeah, this is 39% alcohol. I thought, was I really confused? No, it was the other stuff. The vermouth is only 18%. Prodotto in Italia. It's a secret recipe, very herby, and of course, absinthe is very herby. And this vermouth has been infused. This absinthe, vermouth à la absinthe. It combines the allure of wormwood, the delicacy of lemon balm, the power of anise, and other distinct herbs, creating an infusion of exceptional taste, diverse flavor. Careful blending, dried botanicals, and ancestral maceration techniques make this a balanced vermouth to delight the senses. So I'm basically having a very herby drink. It's basically a health tonic. I'm basically having a health tonic now. So don't ever listen to anyone who says I'm not healthy, because I'm like having a herbal infusion. So, sorry, that just made me laugh. There won't be a chaser election special due to government funding. There will be an angry live stream on election night, where I shall be getting thoroughly hammered. But yeah, I'm going to come up with drinking names and not do a shot every time the government loses a seat, because the government's going to lose somewhere between 20 and 40 seats. So knocking back a drink every time they lose a seat is a recipe for alcohol poisoning. But maybe a shot every time a front bencher loses their seat, because that'd be fucking hilarious. I've got a hit list. You can draw up a hit list. Probably, maybe my 6 favorites. 6 people that I really want to lose their seat, and maybe do a shot anytime someone on the hit list gets wiped out. Yes, Luke. All that health tonic helps my hair look its best. Just had a haircut too. Maybe the last one of summer. It's after a liquid gymnasium. Yeah, Dr. Obama, Josh Frydenberg would be on my list, although I think he's one of the less likely to lose. Peter Dutton is right at the fucking top of my list. Safa Scummo would be 2 shots because it'd be very unlikely, not impossible, but very unlikely for Scummo to lose his seat. I think he could possibly convince me to do 2 shots if Tony Abbott loses his seat. Another one I'd laugh is if Christopher Pyne lost his seat. So yeah, I think I'll draw up my list of the 6 that I most want to lose their seats, and yeah, maybe pull one out for the homies if they go down. But who would be on that list? Frydenberg, Scummo, Abbott, Pyne. Yeah, you're right. Frydenberg had 12% lead. It's not impossible Frydenberg to lose his seat. It would be an extreme result, but it's not impossible. I think the swing against the government will be anywhere between 5 and 15%. Abbott's mostly under threat from an independent, which would be interesting. Safa, Shorten's not going to lose his seat. I'm not a fan of Shorten, but he's not going to lose his seat. No, I'm not doing 3 shots if Pyne loses his seat. Pyne's one of the more likely. He hasn't got that much of a margin in his favour. Yeah, look, see, this is why I've got to set an upper limit on shots, like maybe 6. But yeah, putting 2 general, like my initial thought was, oh, have a drink for every seat the government loses. No, that'd fucking kill me. I would definitely die. I would definitely die if I did that. Man, Tim Wilson's turned into a complete dipshit, hasn't he? There's like that massive. Forget about him losing the election. He might have to resign. He might not be able to stand at the next election. Dr. Obama, that is a good way to put it. One is just a reboot of Alexander Downer. That weird fucking Adelaide thing. Adelaide Liberals. So fucking weird. Oh, Safa, yeah. Okay, your shot triangle. Abbott's on top, definitely. Major celebration if Abbott loses his seat. Justin, will we get a theocratic ACL member? Not in the lower house. The ACL might get a Senate seat, but all sorts of fucking weirdos get Senate seats. Yes, this fluctuation, a little flag in the shot for Abbott. You can maybe float a marshmallow on a shot and put a flag in it. Yes, Luke, that would be my epitaph. That'll be on my headstone. RIP AngryAussie, too many shots in a live stream. Sad, but he went out doing what he loved. Shots. I don't do shots. I drink responsibly. I think, yeah, Justin Wilson would be at risk. And the fact that he's now suddenly, man, he's up against it at the moment because his bullshit's coming back to haunt him. Yes, Seashell former Kooyong's in my neck of the woods. But in the state election for Victoria, there's this whole string of seats that were regarded as safe Liberal seats, and they got a fucking hammering. I don't think Frydenberg will lose his seat. It's possible, but I don't think he will. Oh, yes, saying Clive Palmer spent $10 million on his book. It's not going to translate into anything. Clive Palmer is a pathetic joke. Like, all he's done, particularly with the text messages he was sending, all he's done is piss people off. He's a really fucking sad joke. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes, you're right, Bisco, about their scare campaign. If you got to vote for the Conservatives, or else the Muslim immigrant boat people will take over everything. Yeah, but it'll be interesting. There's still time for more members of the government to not contest the next election, because they lost 3 ministers. In 1 week, 3 ministers said they weren't going to contest the next election. There's still time for more in the sitting government to say, yeah, fuck this, I do not want to run a losing election campaign. I'm just retiring. Fuck it. Yeah, Justin, you're right. I think Clive's shot his bolt. He's lost the moment. He does not understand the country at all. I don't think he'll get anything this election. I could be wrong, but I don't think he'll get anything this election. Because Dr. Obama, he's saying he's against China investment, even though his own businesses had massive China investment. Well, he's a liar and a hypocrite, basically. It's like, he's a self-serving fucking git. Okay, Safi, you're absolutely right. The the Liberals' last desperate ploy in both New South Wales and federally is a scare campaign, trying to whip up the bigots in particular, uh, which may help them. It may work in their favour. I don't know. In Victoria, it backfired. The state Liberals ran this bullshit scare campaign, which failed completely. Which I was so happy about, because it was pretty fucking vile, the campaign there, and it failed completely, and they suffered a fucking historic beating, which was brilliant. That was the funniest thing. Like on election night, I did a live stream on the state election night. I thought, okay, polls close at 6. It's going to be a couple hours before there's even a trend. I don't want to shoot my bolt too early, so I won't start my live stream for 8. So I started at 8. I thought maybe if I'm lucky, there'll be enough of a trend by 9 that we'll have an idea of who's going to win. Fucking Anthony Green on the ABC called it at 7:30 before I even started. At 7:30, he went, "Oop, that's it. Liberals lost. ALP returned." And so it was over before I started my live stream. That was fuck. So yeah, that was a big surprise that the result was clear that early. So I will probably start my federal election live stream a bit earlier. Like if it's the same deal, if polls close at 6, I'll start at 7. So no, I don't think I will do one for New South Wales. I'm not that invested in New South Wales. You're saying that Sydney's GGB mentioned Melbourne gangs again. It's super fucking weird. Like, it's a complete lie. Yes, there are crimes happening. Yes, there are bad people. But the overwhelming trend in crime is down. And the idea of there being, organized gangs roaming the streets, terrorizing, is a fucking lie. The most dangerous gangs we have are drug related, and they're like, white bikers. The whole what did they decide the gang was called? Because some fucking kids on Facebook said, oh, Apex. The Apex gang literally never existed. In the actual, criminal sense of gang, an organized group that has a hierarchy and whatnot, literally never existed. But bunch of kids just say, yeah, Apex, man, fuckheads. They're definitely, which is not, I'm not excusing those particular dickheads at all, but that thing that they invented, the Apex gang, literally never existed. But anyway. So that means for classification, you're hoping the assistance and access bill comes football gets kicked out the window. Bill that facilitates forcing companies to hand over keys to us. Oh, right, Jesus Christ. No, because both sides, the Liberals and Labor, are super into spying on us. They don't think we deserve any privacy. We're fucked on that. Yeah, Shelf Format. There was like Apex gang graffiti. There was teenagers going, yeah, man, Apex, and they go Apex, but it was never a thing that existed. They'd go on Facebook and say, yeah, Apex and whatnot. But in the sense of a criminal gang that has a hierarchy and things that literally never existed. Oh, sorry, Dr. Obama. Yes, I did hear that. John Howard is going to drive the New South Wales Liberals election campaign. Oh, man, that reeks of desperation. That's hilarious. The idea of John Howard saving the New South Wales Liberals is fucking hilarious. And I keep loving like stuff in like the Murdoch media and that fucking was that the IPA, the think tank? Who was saying, oh, the real problem the Conservatives Party face is they haven't gone hard enough to the right, despite the fact repeated by-elections and state elections have shown no, that hard right shit does not appeal to the electorate. They just double down and go, no, you've got to go further to the right. I'm going, yes, listen to them. Follow that advice, because then you will get fucking crushed in the election. Trivia from Justin. Current Veteran Affairs Minister is looking to merge veteran medical income. Oh my God. Merging veteran medical care with Centrelink? Fuck. Oh my God. This is the whole thing about people support the troops, but they don't support them. It's like returning troops not getting proper medical care. And no, maybe you don't want to sit on my lap. No one can see there's a tail. Doesn't even mind me doing that. I thought that would really piss her off, but it doesn't. No, Jesus, moving anything from Veterans Affairs into Centrelink would be a fucking disaster. You know, you can have whatever view about, oh, you're going to support the troops, but if you do not support returning veterans with proper healthcare and other forms of support, you don't support the troops. That's fucking horseshit. And they get treated better in Australia than the US. The way veterans are treated in the US is fucking appalling. If you're going to send people off to war, if you're going to put them in harm's way, you need to take responsibility for that shit. Okay, I can do a Blofeld impression. Come here, Mimsy. We're going to do a movie reference. Come here. You love this, right? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die. Are you happy with that? She's going, you're a dickhead. She had enough of you, dickhead. All right. She was fine with being like, but that was a bridge too far. Like, no, really bad Blofeld impressions, dude. I'm not going to be part of that. Oh God, let's get on to Centrelink and the robo-debt thing. Man, everything about Centrelink is fucked. Like, I haven't had to deal with them for decades. And it's funny, as a contractor, I do occasionally have gaps between contracts where technically I could apply for Centrelink payments to bridge it. And I never do, because I think, no, the level of grief I will get from Centrelink is too fucking painful for a few $100s, and then they'd probably come back and say I owed them afterwards. So even like I've had gaps of like 3 months between contracts, but I don't get Centrelink payments. I just fucking soldier on because Centrelink aren't fucking worth it. Safa, big question. Why is Australian bureaucracy so hectic? So I have not personally dealt with Centrelink for fucking decades because they suck. So just the DHS is looking to automate claims process by 2020. What the fuck's going on? Oh, man, government departments and bureaucracy. I mean, what the actual fuck? what in the actual fuck is going on there. It's just some serious shit, basically. Yeah, Brett, it's the best thing about having a job, not having to deal with Centrelink. It's not worth. And look, honestly, because I'm a contractor, I get paid a lot. So if I ever claimed Centrelink in the time I wasn't working, I probably would have to pay it back. And it's far more grief than it's worth. So I just go, yeah, no, we'll go off savings or credit cards or whatever for the gap between contracts, and then another contract comes up and it levels out. So, but yeah, because both my kids are going to uni this year, so they're signing up for the various things on that, and I'm just like, yeah, here you go. Here's your introduction to fucking industrial grade bureaucracy. Let's see how that goes. There was a miscommunication. They've tried to update their system and they can't. They've got an ancient database made in the 80s with a Java front end. Yeah, that sounds about fucking right. I wonder how much they spent, because I work in IT and I have for a couple of decades now. And oh my God, there's been some, I haven't worked on them, but there's been some spectacular fucking failures, like major cost blowouts from, I know in the 80s, early 90s, Westpac had a succession of catastrophes. And what was weird is their IT catastrophe ended up being one of the lesser ones. But they spent something like $100 million on a system that was supposed to update infrastructure that dated back to the 70s. And it fucking failed completely. And they had to go back to the 70s architecture. I think they subsequently fixed it, but this one big project that started in the late 80s, they apparently flushed like $100 million down the toilet for nothing. And well, like the Mikey system in Melbourne started in the Brax government, I think. That was supposed to be $100 million or something. It's like ultimately more than, they won't even say how much got spent, but it's like ultimately I think it's over $1 billion got spent on it. Insane. That's a good point, Justin. If any Americans watching, as much as we're complaining about Australian bureaucracy, probably not as bad as American. That's probably true. Justin, you work in a bureaucracy. Good for you, buddy. So if your sister's going to uni, no, my kids are doing wild things. Young Ms. Angry is doing linguistics, and young Mr. Angry is doing computer game design, video game design. It's cool, man. They know what they want. They know what they want, and they're doing it. They've got their shit. I reckon they've got their shit together far better than I did at their age. I kind of knew what I wanted, and then ended up doing something that I never expected. I wanted to do a journalism course. Here's the thing: if you're in school and you get to year 12, the end of school, and you don't get the grades you want, and don't lose your shit. All you need is time. All you need is time, and you can get to where you want. The idea that school and your year-ending grades are the be-all and end-all, that's complete fucking bullshit. It's just not true. All you need is time. Like, I ended up with really shitty marks in what was, because I was in New South Wales in the deep dark past, what was called the Higher School Certificate. I got really shitty grades, so I wanted to do a journalism degree, and I didn't have the grades to get into that. But I went, this was Mitchell College, which is now Charles Sturt University. So I got into what was called an associate diploma. It was a real fucking Mickey Mouse arts course. But I enjoyed it and had fun. And that was supposed to be a 2-year associate diploma. It wasn't even a degree. But I enrolled in that and started in that. And after the first year, I transferred. I was going to transfer into a degree. And the degree I wanted was called communications. and it had 3 strands. And the one I wanted to get into was journalism. They also had a public relations strand. They also had one called theatre media. And it was after I'd been there for a year and had been exposed to the theatre media stuff that became interesting to me. So at the end of the year, when I wanted to transfer, I interviewed with the Dean of Journalism and the Dean of Theatre Media. And the Dean of Journalism was a fucking wanker. Like, I fucking hated him. He was such a prick. But I passed the interview, and I did an interview and then an audition for the theatre course. I passed that. So I basically had my choice. I could go into the journalism course that I'd wanted to be in for years, or I could go into the theatre course that I had just newly discovered. And I just decided, nah, the Dean of Journalism is a fucking wanker. I'm doing theatre. So I have a BA in theatre media. Fucking awesome for getting jobs. No, it's not. So here's the thing. Justin, you're saying uni results supersede VCE. The only time your school results matter is when you're trying to get into uni or trying to get your first job. After that, your school results never come up again. Ever. They don't matter. Okay, now here's the secret about your uni results. Your uni results only matter the first time you're getting a job. After you have your first job, your uni results never matter again. They just don't. How you perform in the working world is the only thing that counts. So, yeah, school results literally only count until you get into uni or till you get your first job. Then they never count again. Your uni results only matter until you get your first job, and then they never matter again. So don't ever think that a bad result in school or a bad result in uni is going to cripple you. All you need is time. Like I said, so I got really shitty school results, so I couldn't get into the course I wanted. So I got into a Mickey Mouse course, and I did well in that. So they let me transfer into a degree, and then I never got a job related to my degree, but I got jobs, and I ended up working in IT. I did a degree in theatre, and I work in IT. What the fuck is that about? What the fuck is that about, honestly? we still upset at Mikey. Yeah, the thing that shits me about Mikey is they spent so much money on it. They probably could have let the entire population ride public transport free for 10 years, and that would have cost less money than Mikey. But, you know, fucking bureaucracy, government, bloody-minded bullshit. Oh, Justin, you're right. Uni courses don't correlate very well to the professional workforce. Like, I learned on the job how to be a business analyst. I learned my skills on the job, and I've looked at open learning courses. I thought maybe I could do open learning and get a formal qualification. And I looked at uni courses and the course material for IT related uni courses, and I was just looking at it going, this is dumb as shit. This is kindergarten level bullshit. Like, yeah, because at work, I have to work a fucking 100 miles an hour. I don't mind it. I turn everything into an intellectual challenge. Even mundane shit, I turn it into some sort of intellectual challenge. You can always do that. But fucking uni is so slow compared to work. Alexander, what's Mikey? It's a transport system. Like in London, they call it the Oyster card. It's a smart card. It's like a card with an embedded chip that you use to pay for your public transport. Oh yeah, Justin, that there was no justification for the money they spent on Mikey. It was bullshit. It was just bloody-minded government stuff. The Brax government refused to admit how much they fucked up and just kept ploughing more and more money into it. And then Labor lost government and Libs got in. And Libs sort of kinda acted like, oh, we're going to look and see if it's worth continuing with Mikey. And apparently the contracts were such a pain in the ass, they went, oh no, we're just going to keep going. Like, it's supposed to take a year or two to develop, and it took like 6 years. It was a fucking disaster. But it's in place now, you know. It's just, you know, fucking bureaucracy, man, honestly. So you're saying it's a heavily secure system more than it needs to be. Use a simpler system. My fair. And Mikey uses Desfire, which is made for banking. Yeah, they overcomplicate it. You could just look at the development hell that Mikey went through, and they clearly overcomplicate it. Now, I can't even imagine what it would have been like working on the Mikey project. On the one level, like, because it went on for so long, people were paid so much for so many years to work on it. But on the other level, there was so much pressure on it. Like, it would have been such a shit environment where, Archie, you're a fan of Mimsy. Yeah, she's popular. She likes to join in on the live streams. Oh, look, I was a big fan of the Metcard paper tickets. The 10 trip tickets, I fucking love them. I trusted them way more than I trust Mikey. Archie, doing fairly well, thank you, buddy. How are you doing? Got members? Yeah, I love the Metcard things. My personal favourite was the 10 trip tickets. And if you used it twice in one day, that was it. You were covered for the whole day. I thought they were great. And because you could physically see what it was doing. There's something about Mikey I just don't trust because you can't see what it's doing. Where are you going, man? Going off for a little walkies. Okay. That's a good point, Miss Fox. You could have used QR codes. Could have had on your phone. Thanks for dropping by, Archie. That's always good. Still here for about another half hour. That's my normal time frame. I thought Mimsy was leaving, but no, she wants more attention, but just off camera. You're like a diva. Pay attention to me, but I'm going to be off camera. Oh, yeah, PBR. I fucking hated that they got rid of tram conductors. Tram conductors were great. But that was fucking cost cutting, and it was bullshit. And I hate, and it's more of an issue for trams than trains, but I hate that they hold you as the traveller responsible for touching on and whatnot when the actual machines are unreliable. Like, the one time I've had fucking ticket inspectors come and they scanned my ticket and said, speaking of which, I have not seen ticket inspectors on a tram. I haven't been on trams that much, but I haven't seen ticket inspectors in forever. But one time I had these ticket inspectors and they came on and they scanned my card and they said, well, it's Aussie in John. I'm going to have to fine you. And I went, no, fuck off. I touched on when I came on. And they go, no, how many beeps you get? You're trying to make it my responsibility. I put my card on the fucking machine. I didn't swear. I'm very polite. So I put my card on the machine. It isn't my responsibility. It's your responsibility to provide proper goddamn machines. Yeah, fucking fine. Take my details. And I'm taking, and you can pay a fine. No, I'm going to court because this is bullshit. And they ended up withdrawing it before I went to court. Because what it would have shown, the history on my Mikey card would have shown Oh, well, he touched on every morning and every afternoon, except miraculously the day that ticket inspectors were there. It's like, fuck off. And yeah, I was really pissed off. It's like, yeah, no way. It is. You're saying that this hasn't been touched on. Well, I put it on the fucking machine when I got on the tram, and you're saying it's my responsibility. No, fuck off. It's your responsibility to have reliable infrastructure. Everybody knows it isn't reliable. Fuck you. I'm going to take it to court. And the thing is, whenever you take it to court, they withdraw, because if you set precedent in court and say, because a few people have done it and said, I'm going to court and you need to produce all your records of these machines on how reliable they are. And well, yeah, Archie, they probably don't keep the footage, but yeah, there are security cameras on most of the trams, and they would have showed me stepping on and putting my card against the fucking machine. And anyone who can test it, anyone who says, um, fine, okay, you're saying I didn't pay it, I'm taking it to court. They withdraw it because they can't afford to have someone take them to court and win, because that sets the precedent that their system is shit and can't be trusted. And then they're screwed. So they never take it to court. I said I'm taking it to court, and I got an email a couple of weeks later going, oh, we've withdrawn it. You don't have to go to court. And yeah, I fucking bet you withdrew it, you bastards. Bastards. I did have a funny experience once, years ago. A YouTube friend, an international visitor, um, was in the city with me, and some dude was riding the tram without a ticket, and ticket inspectors came along, and he's like, oh, ticket, and he decided to actually fight them and resist. And so they've crash tackled him and have uh, like got him in a headlock and twisting his arm. And she's going, holy fuck, what are they doing? Oh, apparently he doesn't have a ticket. And they go, so they're fucking murdering him because he doesn't have a ticket? Yeah, he's resisting. They would stop if he wasn't putting up a fight, I think. But yeah, they're doing that full on bullshit over like a $2 tram ticket. And I said, that's just the way. And she was like, holy fuck. And the funniest part of the whole thing was, as the ticket inspector, there's two or three of these big dudes wrestling this belligerent guy to the ground. A cop walked past. And of course, these tram people can't actually arrest someone. But a cop walked past, and you see the cop sort of pause and think, should I step in and actually arrest that person? And they went, nah, I don't want the paperwork. I don't want to get involved. And the cop just kept walking. It's fucking hilarious. But it was pretty funny. They had this American visitor, and we're walking past the tram, and this guy gets hurled off a tram, and then two or three, the ticket inspectors are wrestling him to the ground and headlock and arm twist. And and she's going, holy fuck, what's going on? Went, he didn't pay the $2 for the tram trip. So they're doing that. Mr. Gregory, you just woke up. How are you doing, buddy? I am pretty good, thank you. The city is oh man, look, okay. I think that's a Daniel Andrews introduction, the city being a free zone. And if it is, the two amazing things he did was the city free zone, so you can just jump on and off trams with no fucking bullshit, and the all-night public transport on weekends. That is fucking brilliant. It's really good. Oh, Safa, they do it to teenage girls every 5 fucking minutes. They've been instructed to. I haven't heard any stories of it happening recently, but in the past it used to happen all the time. And the fucking ticket inspectors seem to have a real predilection for physically assaulting teenage girls. They got told they're not meant to do it, and I don't know if they stick by that, but it's basically if someone resists and says fuck you and walks away, they're not meant to try and restrain them. but I don't know if they stick by that. I haven't heard any stories for a while, but it's hard to be sure. Actually, the thing with you're saying Americans get fooled by weird stuff that happens in the rest of the English sphere. From when I've travelled, what's weird is little differences. Like, let's go the English-speaking countries, Australia, England, North America, all speak the same language. We kind of, and there's a lot of cultural similarities, I think the same, but then you travel, the little differences weird you right the fuck out. And that's for everyone. Brits traveling to America and Australia, Americans in Britain and Australia, Australians in Britain and America. The differences stand out more because 75, 80% of the stuff's the same or very, very, very similar. But the stuff that's different, you go, what the fuck? The fuck is that? What wow, that makes no sense. Why the fuck are you doing that? And so the little differences seem huge. Whereas if you go to a country that's culturally completely different, it's like everything's different. So you're like, okay, everything's different, fine, everything's different. But when you're somewhere where most of the stuff is very similar, the stuff that's completely different stands out and you go, what the fuck? What the fuck is that about? Oh, Brett, that is a good point. Even traveling to different states in Australia can be like that. We like the civil war that threatened to start over potato cakes v potato scallops. I grew up in New South Wales, where bits of sliced potato coated in batter and deep fried were called potato scallops. And I now live in Victoria, where they're potato cakes. Somewhere is that musical about it? Canada, New Zealand. What are these fictional places? Why don't you bring up Narnia as well? Narnia, Canada, New Zealand. They're not real places, are they? They seem fictional to me. Musico, that's a big thing. If you ask for scallops, are you going to get potato or seafood? I'm not a big fan of seafood scallops. There are some potato fritters, Brett. That's another one. Yes, potato cakes, potato fritters, potato scallops, depending which state you're in. And even beer. Is it a schooner, a middy, or a pot? People can get super confused if they travel between states and the size glasses beverages are in are different. And they're just stunned, like, what? What the fuck are you saying? What? What does that mean? Archie, if you're having a three-way convo with an American, an English person, and a Glaswegian, when the Glaswegian left, you got asked if you're speaking it. Yeah, that's a good question with a Glaswegian, if they're speaking English, quite honestly. Because I was fascinated. Years ago, I've got a bunch of videos of it. My first big trip to England, because Mrs. Angry is actually English and we're visiting her family. I did a road trip with a YouTube friend, Steve. We'd never actually met in person, but just said, fuck it, we're hiring a car. He took a week off work and we did a road trip for a week and like shared hotel rooms for a week. Didn't even murder each other, which was great. But we went from, where did we start? Around Bath. That's where I was staying. I was actually staying in a little town called Cullen, sort of in the Cotswolds, which is just outside Bath. And we drove up and, went through Bristol and Nottingham. And we got up to Edinburgh. Then we came back and went through Birmingham and ended up back in London. And the differences in all the different areas was wild. Oh my God, what the classification? You're saying apparently overseas potato thingies are called potato bread, badge, tatty scone, tatty cakes. Good Lord. Oh, it's like there's a bit of UK cuisine called a faggot. And so I couldn't resist. One time I was there, I was like in a convenience store and in the freezer, they had these things, and the labeling on the box, I think it said English faggots. And so I couldn't help it. I posted this picture to Instagram with me holding this box saying, just hanging out with some English faggots. Oh my God. Archie, you have to leave. Been to for both. Thanks for hanging out. I'm probably hanging out for another 10 minutes. Yeah, see, Grant, that's the sort of conversation you have. You have a schooner of beer with potato bread, a side of scallops, and a glass of beer. It's because you see bloody Victorian pubs advertising Parma and pot. You think, well, I'm going to get a chicken Parma and some weed. Okay, that's pretty good. No, it's a pot of beer with your chicken Parmigiana. Yes. Yeah, PBR, the Glasgow accent is pretty full on. Even the spectrum of Scottish accents are wild. You do have like upper class Scottish accents and then working class Scottish accents, and they're super different. And Irish accents as well. Like I was listening to, there's really only, I tried to get into podcasts and I've only found one I really like, and that's the Blind Boy podcast. He's an Irish comedian, part of a duo called Rubber Bandits, most famous for wearing a plastic bag, shopping bag on his head. And he has a very gentle Irish accent. It's very easy to understand. It's a very gentle accent. And he occasionally does live podcasts. He'll do a live event somewhere where he's interviewing somebody of note, and they tend to be very different people. And you'll get they've got different accents. Like if he's interviewing someone from the north, they will sound very different. And his most recent one, he was interviewing a guy. He's a scientist who specializes in insects, entomologist, but is interested in various things, environmental issues and whatnot. This guy also had a different but also very gentle Irish accent, and he was quite easy to understand most of the time, but he would occasionally say a word, and I was like, what the fuck? Like he was talking about different animals, and out of the blue, he mentions a boort, which to me sounded like he was saying Boort. I was thinking, what the fuck is a boort? And from the context, I just listened a bit. He was saying bird, but it's like I'd been completely with his accent all the way, except he said boort, and I had no fucking idea what he was saying. And it took me a while to work out he was saying bird. And so it's super weird. Like you can be listening to someone and you can be okay with what they're saying 90% of the time. And I'll say something with their provincial accent and you'll just be stuck. Just, what? I was working, because I work in IT. You tend to work with a lot of people from the subcontinent, Indian and to a lesser extent Pakistani, Bangladeshi people, and you kind of get used to that spectrum of accents, and that's what's bad. But I was working in one place, and there's a guy, and I think he was relatively senior, and he was Scottish. And I think it was the Glasgow accent, and it was really broad. And when I was talking to him on the phone, I could not understand what the fuck he was saying. And it was so embarrassing because he'd be saying shit on the phone, and I would be, oh, sorry, could you say that again? And it was really embarrassing because I just couldn't understand him. And it was agonizing sort of talking to this guy who I couldn't understand. And I kept having to ask him to repeat things. And you could tell he was getting testier and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, fucking kill me now. Kill me now, kill me now, kill me now. This is just awful. Is that PBA? You like country town Australians who use rhymings? I'm not familiar with that. Where do Australian country town people use rhyming slang? Because I grew up in a country town. I suppose you definitely do get provincial slang that yeah, everyone you're around knows what it means, but can I tell you what was hilarious? This is not rhyming slang. This is you tend to have very similar snack foods, right? But you'll have something that's local. Like there was a I grew up in a town called Dubbo, which the name Dubbo is generally an insult in Australia, but say la vie. And the local dairy produced these ice blocks. They were just in plastic bags, right? They're doing them on the production line. Some were water based. You know, they'd be fruit flavors, basically coloured sugar water in these plastic bags that would be frozen. Some were milk based, and they came from the Dubbo dairy, and they just said Dubbo in big letters, and we literally just called them Dubbos because that's what was written on them in big. This is quite generic packaging, and it said Dubbo in big letters. We just called them Dubbos, and I remember being in another town, only a couple of hours away. My younger brother asking people in like a milk bar in a convenience store, "Do you have Dubbos?" And they're just looking at him and laughing and going, "You like taking the piss? What the fuck is a Dubbo?" I'm saying to him, "No, nobody outside of Dubbo has Dubbos, okay? You can't get a Dubbo here." Oh yes, China plate. Me old mate, China plate. Yes. I feel like that's from older generations, like even older than me. But yes. Oh my god, misfuckification. That one made me laugh. Fluffy white cat is a polite reference for fucking white cunt that Aboriginals use if they scream at you if they're asking for money and you don't give them any. Okay, that is again, that's a pretty provincial one. I've heard a few. Where I was, it was gubba. That was which apparently is not an actual insult. It was kuri was the local word for Indigenous people. That was a generic term, kuri, and the generic term for white people was gubba. Apparently not insulting. That I was assured it wasn't insulting. But I know there's in New South Wales, it was kuri. But I know here in Victoria, the generic term for a lot of the Indigenous people is Murray. So I think those are regional. But fluffy white cat. That was not what I'm familiar with. Mr. Grant, the dog and bone with a Sheila over his life. I am prone to. I never did rhyming slang like dog and bone is phone. But I was surprised how sometimes people thought I was doing full on vernacular. I talk about Sheila, and I would say fair go. Oh, fair go. Not like fucking. Oh my god, when Kevin Rudd used to try to uh, Oz it up and say fair suck of the sauce bottle, like I wanted to scream, "Shut the fuck up, dude! You do not talk like that." Okay, you're from a really privileged conservative background. You don't use the Oz slang. You sound like an idiot. Yeah, turn it up, Mr. Grant. A slab. Oh, I thought slab was universal. Slab. I grew up. That was a carton of beer, like a 24 pack of beer. Slab. I thought that was universal. I was really surprised when I found out that not everyone knew slab meant a carton of beer. Um, like I was aware of some things being regional, but I thought slab of beer, everyone knew what that was. But no, not really. Apparently, it's not used very often in Victoria. Dead horse sauce. Yeah, no, Kevin Rudd actually said fair suck of the sauce bottle. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. You do not talk like that. You come from a privileged, educated background. Talk like you talk, motherfucker. Um, Ugh, it's like Rudd had so much potential as a prime minister, but he was a fucking obnoxious, power-crazed mutant. Anyway. Grant, your friends in Canada don't know what a tinny or a servo or a thunderbox is. Ah, geez, what's that? I remember Dave Allen, the Irish comedian who I saw all the time on the ABC growing up, when he had a whole routine making fun of Australia's, particularly with Australia's tendency to add IE on everything, to call things, you know, the postie and the milky and the one. But it's not universal. Sometimes we get O, like there's a garbo. Garbage collector is a garbo. Tinny is a tin of beer. Servo is a service station. It's not a servy, it's a servo. And it's completely arbitrary. It's a tinny and a servo. It's a garbo. It's a milky, the milkman. But we don't even have milkmen anymore. That's how old I am. We did have milkmen when I was a kid. So, yeah. Misfoxication, Rudd's. I swear, I read some stuff, people who work close to Rudd. His problem was he didn't sleep enough. He only slept a couple of hours a night, and he was in a bad mood all the fucking time because of sleep deprivation. And he was prone to explode at people. And he didn't sleep enough. Oh man, I had so much time for him, but he just turned into Aussie stollery dudes. Yeah, stollery dudes are a real thing. Anyway, it's 10 o'clock. I'm going to be going to bed now. Notwithstanding, you're all wonderful people and enjoyed my time with you immensely. And I hope you all look after yourself. I hope to see you again soon. Mimsy's headbutting me, wanting more attention. She's gonna sleep next to me, aren't you? You like to sleep next to me. If I happen to move, you move into my space because you're very rude. So I am, in fact, off to bed. So thank you, one and all, for your company. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you. I hope to see you again soon. Take care of yourselves in the meantime, and I will say bye for now. Click the stop